Thank you very much, Mala, for that. Well, our next conversation, we are going to be talking about the forthcoming NMG Farm Clinic. That is the Seeds of God on 7th of December. What is the venue? Well, that is Buginyanya Zadi in Bulengeni, Bulambuli district. What will be the focus? They'll be focusing on wheat, that is barley, maize, Arabic coffee, Irish potatoes, bananas, dairy, and fish. Well, those are some of the topics that they'll be dissecting right there on the 7th of December in Bulambuli district. Well, I have someone from Stanbic Bank, one of the partners and the sponsors right now. His name is Stephen Seguja. He's the head enterprise banking right there at Stanbic Bank, and he joins me right now. A very good morning. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, Josh.
So it's good to have you join us. Let's talk about the Farm Clinic and what you're bringing to the table. How is the Farm Clinic initiative aligned to your organization and as Stanbic Bank?
Good morning to all our viewers, and greetings from Stanbic Bank. Thank you so much for hosting us, and the partnership with the NMG, I think, is really working very well. And we've been to a couple of districts, but just coming to your question, how it's aligned, as we all know, agriculture is the engine of growth of this country. We have a lot of people that are employed in agriculture. In fact, over 60% of our people in the rural areas actually employed directly in agriculture. The second thing is that agriculture is actually driving the engine of growth for this country. And it also has a lot of other subsectors that are linked into that particular economy. So for us, in terms of alignment with our theme is that Uganda is a home as bank, we drive our growth. It's important that we align and we support the growth of agriculture in this nation, because that's where your biggest employment is, that's where our food is coming from, that's where the arable land is. So it's important that as we partner with NMG, with Bank of Uganda, that we align ourselves in exactly what we want to do. We know agriculture is going to be what's going to take us to the next level. So I think each and every one, in terms of what we do, in terms of what we do for our customers, the message that we put out there, agriculture is going to be one of the key areas that we're focusing on as a bank.
So your intentions are valid based on what you're telling me. Yes.
Absolutely.
So how is your organization intervening in the agriculture sector?
Thank you very much for that. One of the things that we've done is, again, to come up with the things that we believe are going to be impactful into this economy. And agriculture being one of the key sectors that we're looking at. One is we're looking at the actual financing for the farmers, and we're looking at the entire value chain. So, for example, if he's a dairy farmer and is taking this milk to let's say to JSA or to Dairy Corporation or to anyone who is buying the milk. So what we do in that particular value chain is that we support the farmers where that cattle actually is. So we map that value chain and say, this is where the milk is going to come from the farm until it actually gets to your table. And most people don't understand the process that actually goes through in terms of bringing that milk to the table. So what we've done is that we've gone down to the farmer to provide the inputs, to help them even purchase the land, to help them get them the machinery, to get them the fertilizers, in terms of ensuring that the land is more productive. I think that is the first thing. The second thing that, again, we've done is we've come up with a business incubator. And we've really been at it for the last 2 years. And one of the things that why our businesses fail is because of a couple of things. Uganda is one of the most entrepreneurial countries in the world. But then 75% of those companies actually don't live to meet their second or third birthday. So what we've done is we've actually started to train the actual corporations, the actual enterprises, the actual farmers who are out there in the field. What are the things that they need to look out for? How do they going to do the contracting? How do they keep their books? What are we going to look out for as a bank? How do they expand their markets? So for us is to provide a platform for them to actually thrive. So what we do best is to put these enablers in place for them to be able to get these things running for them.
Now, if a farmer is in need of your services, how do they access them?
Again, as a bank, we are not only in Uganda, but we are actually spread across the world. And those are the advantages that the bank is actually bringing on the table. One is definitely we've built a very large branch network across the country. And in fact, in most of the districts where farming is actually taking place, we actually have a representation. So we have a branch there. So what we encourage our farmers is that if there is a need, if you have a need, please go and visit our branches. But we're also not seated in the branches. We've actually now gone out to the fields. So we run a lot of these clinics like the one that's going to happen in Bulambuli. There are other clinics that we run across the country in terms of inviting the farmers to come to us. So we're not waiting for the people to come to us, but we're also going to them. The second thing is that we've also started our agency banking proposition. We have over 1,000 agents. What we're also doing with them is how do we now take them to the next level? How do we give them the information so that they can lead, we can give us those opportunities, they lead us back to the bank. The third thing is that we know that the farmers are very busy, and this is where we've done a very good job with our enterprises. So what we've done is that we've created a business center where, you know, in the comfort of your office, in the comfort of your farm, you actually don't need to actually go to the farm. What we'll do is that we'll have a business banker or relationship manager actually call up that farmer and ask for his needs and ask for the things that he wants actually on the phone. So at 7 o'clock, you don't need to worry to go to the bank, and then, you know, that productive time is spent, you know, in the bank. So what we do with our virtual relationship center is that we have someone on the call. It's 18 hours a day. We know the time that the farmers are there, so we can contact the farmers, and if there are needs, we can capture the needs. If there's the financing, if there's advice, that is what we'll actually send out to the farmer. So we've created all those opportunities. They can contact us via website. We know some of them might not have, and that's why we've created the telephonic contact for them to be able to contact us, or we will actually call them in case there's a need. And then lastly, again, like I said, we want our farmers to expand their markets. So one of the things is that we have a representation in Kenya, we have a representation in Tanzania, we have a representation in Southern Sudan. Some of the people are worried that once they get the produce, they'll not actually find the market. But we know our neighboring countries, you know, they actually love the agricultural produce from Uganda. So we've also provided that platform for them to be able to expand their markets. And that is the expertise that we bring to the table.
So
Those
Stanbic is advertising on behalf of the farmers.
So we do that,
That is awesome.
very well.
Yeah,
very
that
well
is awesome. And according to research, irrigation has been fronted as a major driver from subsistence to commercial agriculture. How are you helping the farmers make that transition? That is really important.
Thank you very much again for that. I talked a little bit about the incubator, and probably it's just a good opportunity to expound more on that. What we've done is that we've created this business incubator, especially for small businesses, especially for our small farmers who are actually learning the trade. What we need to help them is how do they become sustainable? How do they increase their opportunities? How do they, you know, go into the next level to become more formal, to, you know, to be able to get into those opportunities? And when they come into that incubator, so what we've done is that we run cohorts every quarter. And the cohorts, those are, you know, we invite industry experts, you know, to talk about, you know, the things that are very dear to the farmers. So once they come into our incubator, we start to teach them from the basics, the things that they need to look out for, because it's important that they get the basics right. But also that's a 12-week period. And within that period, I can guarantee you, and we've gotten testimonies, and we've seen a lot of businesses transformed. And we teach them, you know, how do they, you know, manage their workers? How do they manage their finances? What are the things to look out for if they're going to actually look for financing? Is it in the bank? Is it they're going to get equity partners? You know, what do they need to get equipment? So those are the things, and how do they manage those inputs, you know, to make their businesses tick. So once that happens, you know, the 12-week period is that we train them. we give them the skills, we bring in the industry experts, we provide the financing. And this is the beauty about it. It's actually free of charge.
Indeed.
So imagine someone training you for 12 weeks, free of charge, and I can guarantee you the guys who have come out of that business incubator will tell you, big businessmen. And in a period of 6 months, their businesses have made a turnaround.
Yes.
Some of them have even grown more than 50 or 60% just because they've spent some time with us and we've taken them through what we believe is key to the growth of their businesses.
What is the maximum loan amount one can get from Stanbic Bank, and what is the procedure?
So the maximum, and that is a function of what they call your core capital. So each and every bank has that core capital. Stanbic being the largest bank is that we can lend to a single individual up to a tune of $54 million. So that's around 200 billion shillings. So I guess most of the farmers, we will actually be able to qualify for some of our loans. But we can also lend, as low as, someone needs 1 million shillings, he needs to do a couple of things, we can do that. And this is, again, the other beauty, is that we've actually gone digital. Those farmers do not actually need to come to the bank. As long as you're banking with us, you're keeping a good record of your financing, is that we will actually go to the system, look at your behavior, look at how your account is moving, and I can guarantee you within 24 hours we'll give you money on your phone. You can actually access it through just *290#. We are able to give you a loan via the digital. Just imagine a farmer not having that comfort of not coming, driving all the way to town, filling a form, and then he can access that financing just in his garden.
Let's talk about the impact. This is the 18th Seeds of Gold farm clinics, not the first. You've been engaged in so many of them.
Exactly.
Tell me about the impact. How has the population received this initiative?
No, it's been tremendous. It's been tremendous, and I cannot really overemphasize the need for our farmers to actually go and attend these clinics. And I'm very grateful for NMG for the partnership that we've had. And we've also had Bank of Uganda just come alongside us. The impact, and you can only tell when you go and ask those farmers, because we've gone ahead and also carried out interviews, because that's one of the things you can. Some of the testimonies that the farmers have come and given us have actually been tremendous. I think that's very important. The second thing for us, we will actually see in terms of production. So production has actually increased, and that's why you've seen these clinics year on year. They've become bigger, because once the people give those testimonies, the things that they've learned, it's been good. I think the third thing is how they've improved the way they operate in their farms, in their businesses. And some of the model farms that we've seen that have actually come, and we've seen successes there. We've seen businesses are well run. They've gotten managers there. You can see standardization has improved. You can see things like packaging. They've done some processing. They've done some value addition. So for me, the clinics, it's not just a walk-in, but what do you get out of there? And the other thing that we've done also is that we've built networks for these guys. So if I'm a maize farmer, I also will connect you to someone who buy the maize. Is it a school? Is it prisons? Is it someone from Kenya? So for me, those are the testimonies that we've seen. So the businesses have grown, the markets have expanded. We've seen even increase in employment in those entire farms. And the problems we're having with unemployment in Uganda. So I think the myth that agriculture doesn't pay, I think we are demystifying it, and we're saying agriculture is the way to go. Agriculture pays, and that's why the farm clinics have come in very timely.
Well, the farm clinics have indeed come in very timely, because what we're getting from the government isn't really at par as to what we need as per the Maputo declaration that warrants the government to remit at least 10% of the budget to agriculture. That is not happening, and I really welcome clinics such as the NMG Seeds of Gold Farm Clinic right there, the 18th edition, and I'm having Mr. Stephen right here, and we're still continuing with this conversation. Now let's talk a little bit about expansion. What advice might you have for that young novice right there who's at home watching the show right now, and he or she might want to, engage into this agriculture venture, but they do not know how best to start? So what advice might you have for such a person?
Thank you, Joshua.
Romeo.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You remember where we started from in terms of the impact and the contribution of agriculture to this economy. I think if we all understand the impact of that what creates, and Uganda is in a very unique position as a country. For someone out there and who had this notion that maybe agriculture is not something that pays, everyone who has gotten up this morning, I can guarantee you, has either had a cup of tea with some tea leaves, he's had sugar, he's had probably some eggs. Guess what? All we are talking about is agriculture. And I can tell you, agriculture is the only sector where, without a shadow of a doubt, from the age of a baby probably at 6 months to a grown-up, will actually be able to touch that agriculture. I think that's important, that everyone understands the impact that creates and the value chain that creates alongside that. I think the second thing for the person out there and who's wanting to go into that is that, again, you need some inputs. You need land, for you to go out there. And sometimes also depends on where you want to touch in that value chain. Do you want to be the actual subsistence farmer? Do you want to be the trader who buys that produce and takes it to the market? Do you want to be the guy who does value addition? I think for you, for any person, is to study that value chain and say, where do I exactly want to play in that value chain? I know some of the guys who deal a lot in maize, Romeo, if you don't know, is that people are making a lot of money. Just imagine the season is a bit, it could be low. Maize is about 500 shillings. Just buying that maize, and you buy probably 10,000 tons. So that's about 5 million shillings or so. But you get that and you hold it for just 2 months, just before the school starts. Imagine now maize moves from 500 shillings to 1,500. Yes. So the guy makes a margin in just 2 months of 1,000 shillings. I can guarantee you that there are people who have said, this is where I want to play. And you're still playing in the agriculture sector. So I think for me, it's important that people study, that value chain. You need to study why you're good at. And it's important that you also get partners. You must get advice. And I've seen a lot of people go into agriculture, and because it's a bubble, they think, I'll just go and make a lot of money and that kind of thing. And they've sunk so much money. I've gone into agriculture, and there's a friend of mine in the bank. He's an agricultural expert, Richard Wang, one of the best I've seen in this market. And even before I go to plant trees, I tell him, do you think this species is going to work? And I think it is one of the things that we need to learn as individuals, as businessmen, and get advice, get as much information, read, because it's important that you read and understand exactly what you're going into, because not everything might work for you. So for me, the advice I give the guys, please read and take a lot of advice. Study that value chain and know where you're best to play at. And then the rest of the things, Stanbic Bank will be able to support you to get there.
Read, get as much information as possible right there. It's really, really important. And I believe when it comes to agriculture, quality and quantity move hand in hand. Imagine that you have some quality maize that you've planted. When it comes to the point of, retraction, you have maybe like 6 pieces of maize. You cannot sell 6 pieces of maize, even if they are the best quality. But imagine if you had like 200. Yes. Pieces of maize, you would make a killing off of that. And you cannot, ensure quantity if you're using rudimentary tools like the hoes. Exactly. And recently the government did embark on an initiative to, make sure that most of the households in this country have some kind of hoe to help them cultivate their fields right there. Now, right about now, as I speak, they've been able to disperse, I think, 800,000 hoes. And they're still looking for more money to make sure that they disperse more. And now, in your opinion, do you think usage of rudimentary tools like hoes is still warranted in modern agriculture?
Yeah, so again, for me, it depends at what stage of that farming you are. Definitely, if you're going to go in subsistence, you're having a small plot.
Like we're talking modern and agriculture, modern commercialized agriculture.
So if it's commercialized agriculture, no, definitely then there is need to go to the next level. And I think for me that is where, you know, as a country we need to focus on, because, you know, we've seen that the countries that have actually gone to the next level in agriculture, they've actually been extremely very good at mechanizing, you know, the process, not only in the planting, but only in the, but also in the harvesting, in the value addition space. So it's important that people understand that if you're going into commercial, you definitely need to go into, you know, the next phase. The beauty about that is that we have a lot of companies now that provide that mechanized equipment. What we also have is that as a bank, we also provide financing for people to be able to acquire that machinery and go in the farm and improve their production.
So, Mr. Stephen, we are wrapping up. Any remarks to the participants?
No, I mean, I wish the participants are the best. I know it's a rainy season. You know, this is a blessing to this country. I think for the participants, go there, and I'll continue emphasizing this. Please go there to learn, unlearn, and relearn, because what got you there yesterday might not actually get you there tomorrow.
What got you there yesterday might not necessarily get you there tomorrow. In essence, what he's saying is that information keeps on changing, and it's best that you keep yourself in the loop time and again so that you're in the know. Right about now, let's link to our reporter, Stephen Mbide. He has a comprehensive update for us this morning. Good morning, Mr. Mbide. What's the latest?